Hello, my name is Jessa, and today we'll be going over the top 5 UFO crashes retrieved by the CIA. Number 5. Government-owned UAPs. In July of 2023, 3 former military officials entered a Congress hearing and shook the minds of hundreds of people. David Gersh told the panel that he was absolutely certain that the government was in possession of UAPs. David Gersh is a decorated Afghanistan soldier and former Air Force intelligence officer who worked at the NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and the NRO, which is the National Reconnaissance Office, or something like that, sorry. From 2019 to 2021, he was the NRO representative for the UAPT. Remember the organization that came before AARO? Well, David was the co-lead for UAP analysis for the NGA. He assisted in drafting the National Defense Authorization Act of 2023, which includes provisions for the reporting of UFOs, including whistleblower protections and exemptions for non-disclosure orders and agreements. So clearly, he is a very accomplished man, and a man who is extremely knowledgeable of the events and conversations that are taking place in government settings, especially surrounding UAPs and Inhumans. David claimed that he was informed of a multi-decade Pentagon program that sought to locate, collect, and reconstruct UAPs. He interviewed over 40 people in 4 years and has come to the conclusion that the government is currently in possession of UAPs. He said he actually knew the exact location of some of the technology as the information was provided to him, the Inspector General, and some was provided to the intelligence committees. David claims that the program is funded above congressional oversight, being bankrolled by misappropriations of funds, and when asked if it was meant if there was money being taken out of other programs or a cover-up program to hide the funds, David replied in affirmation, stating, "Yes, I have specific knowledge of that." David was unable to release more information regarding the funding as he said it was classified. He stated that even though he didn't have any first-hand experiments with the UAPs, he knows of several colleagues who have encountered and have been injured by them. The entire hearing was extremely telling as a lot of crazy revelations came to light, but UAPs weren't the only thing the government was accused of possessing, and they definitely weren't the most interesting either. Number 4. Roswell. The Roswell incident is generously and fairly credited as the pivoting point for the culture surrounding aerial phenomenons today. In 1947, an object crash landed on ranch land in Roswell, New Mexico, as Mac Brazel and his son were driving across their land when they came across the wreckage. Brazel described the scene as a large area of bright wreckage made up of rubber stripes, tinfoil, and rather tough paper and sticks. Perplexed by the strange assortments of items that had randomly appeared, Brazel decided to take the items into the police, and the object that crashed had several crash insights. Others who have claimed to have seen the object crash land in different locations all say that they saw small humanoid creatures leaving the ship, running away from the wreckage. But about a week after the crash, Brazel has been able to collect most of the wreckage, so he drove into Roswell. Brazel brought the items to the sheriff George Wilcox, who ended up being just as confused as Brazel regarding the origin of the materials, and the sheriff decided to contact the commander of Roswell's armies, the Air Force, and the news worked itself up to the chain of command and eventually reaching an intelligence officer by the name of Major Jesse Marcel. Marcel traveled to the crash site and retrieved the remainder of the wreckage. Then Marcel provided a public statement for the newspaper saying that the intelligence officer of the 509 Bombardment Group at Roswell Army Airfield announced at noon today, or at that time, that the field has come into possession of a flying saucer. Pilot Kenneth Arnold has also confirmed the existence of the saucer, claiming that he too had seen the flying object. Only days later, the news ran rampant with the flying saucer headlines. The Air Force released a statement claiming that the object was merely a weather balloon, but in 1978, Marcel revealed that the claim of it being a weather balloon was a hoax, meaning to distract the public. He speculated that the debris origin was not of this world, and public speculation exploded with hundreds of theories as to what was found that day. To this day, the Air Force continues to deny that the debris was extraterrestrial, as new theories regarding the Roswell incident continues to be talked about, making it one of, if not, the most popular UFO sightings to date. Number 3. John Callahan. John Callahan is the former division chief of the Accidents and Investigations branch of the Federal Aviation Administration, made claims that he had also received information about a UFO sighting from Japanese pilots. According to Callahan, the government was involved in a cover-up, of course, concealing crucial evidence relating to this otherworldly encounter. Callahan claims surrounded an incident that occurred in the late 1980s which involved Japanese airline pilots reporting a close encounter with an unidentified flying object. The details of the sighting raised questions regarding the possible existence of extraterrestrial life and the government's role in suppressing such information. Callahan said that the FAA had indisputable evidence, including radar data and audio recordings of communication between the pilots and air traffic controllers. Callahan claims were built on the foundation that the government intentionally withheld this information from the public, which further sparks concerns about the transparency and accountability from the government. His claimed fueled already bountiful suspicions among UFO enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists who believe that the government worldwide are actively concealing evidence of extraterrestrial encounters. Callahan's credibility then lent weight and plausibility to his claims. As a former high-ranking official within the FAA, he held a position that frequently granted him access to extremely sensitive information and insider knowledge. His decision to come forward and expose the cover-up added a sense of authenticity to the narrative, as skepticism and scrutiny quickly followed Callahan's publicized revelations. People questioned the reliability of the evidence and questioned the motivations behind his disclosure, as some argued that the claims were sensationalist and lacked the necessary evidence to substantiate them. The absence of concrete proof beyond the Callahan's testimony left room for doubt, as the case brought attention to the greater issues of UFO disclosures and transparencies within the government agencies. It fueled public demand for greater openness regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, prompting calls for the declassifications of documents. John Callahan claimed opened a safe of speculation, inviting closer examinations of the relationship between officials and the mysteries of the skies. Number 2. Project Blue Book. Project Blue Book was the code name for the study of unidentified flying objects run by the U.S. Air Force March of 1947 to December 1969. The project was located at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, USA. It was initially designed by Captain Edward J. Ruppelt, was inspired by other projects alike. Blue Book's goal was to determine if UAPs were a threat to national security and to analyze UFO-related data. There were thousands of reports that they analyzed, researched, investigated, and documented, but they thought it would be unlikely that the studying UFOs would lead to any major scientific breaks, so the US government decided to terminate the project in 1969 for several reasons. Their first reason for the project termination was that there was no UAPs that had been investigated, reported, or evaluated displayed a threat to national security. Secondly, there was no UAPs discovered that demonstrated a truly unknown or unidentified non-human technological enhancement beyond what we already know. And finally, there was no evidence that indicated any of the sightings that were reported as unidentified were extraterrestrial. Over their 22-year run, Project Blue Book has received over 12,500 sightings and reports, but none of them were actually unidentified phenomena. I actually have a video on a lot of the phenomena that were mistaken for UFOs, so if you want to check that out, please click Top 5 Sky Phenomena. It's pretty cool. But back to Project Blue Book. The project received a lot of backlash from the government, who believed that the speculation and theories surrounding UAPs should be debunked and not researched. The reason that they had every sighting that had been reported was just people mistaking natural phenomena or training. The project was taking a lot of money and was not providing any useful information. The financial loss that this project became, mixed with the doubt that UAPs even existed, pushed the government to decide that Project Blue Book was unnecessary, so they shut it down. Project Blue Book has since made itself well known within pop culture, being mentioned in TV shows and in UAP enthusiasts, and it was one of the most popular US government research projects centered around UAPs. So it makes sense that it gained so much traction and popularity. Have you ever heard of Project Blue Book? Number 1. The United States has reportedly conducted covert operations to recover unidentifying flying objects, UFOs, revealing the existence of a secret CIA team tasked with this mission. At least 9 non-human crafts have been collected by the clandestine group, shedding light on the government's efforts to retrieve and study these mysterious aerial phenomena. The Central Intelligence Agency disclosed the team, operating under the Official of Global Access (OGA), has successfully retrieved 9 unidentified flying objects. These non-human crafts have been collected through covert missions, showcasing the government's interest in studying and understanding the nature of these enigmatic airborne entities. Among the UFOs, at least 2 were found in an undamaged condition, according to reports. The OGA believed that the operating under the CIA Science and Technology Directorate is credited with locating and securing these unconventional aerial objects. The ability to retrieve intact UFOs adds a layer of intrigue to the covert operations conducted by the CIA. The US Intelligence Agency reported possessing of a sophisticated system capable of discerning cloaked UFOs. This technology allows them to identify and track UFOs that may be concealing themselves. Especially military units, including SEAL teams, are deployed when these unidentified vehicles land on Earth, or if they do. The existence of such advancement detection capabilities underscores the seriousness with which the government approaches the study of UFOs. As I mentioned earlier, former Pentagon intelligence officer David Gersh, which is in the previous one, was testified before Congress, alleging that the American government has been involved in multi-decade programs focusing on the retrieval and reverse engineering the crashed UAPs. At least that's that they think they are. Gersh claims whistleblower status informed Congress about the existence of such a program and the concealment of evidence related to the crash of UAPs and alien biological specimen. In contrast, a NASA report released recently stated that there is no evidence supporting the extraterrestrial origins of UFOs. The 16-member expert panels emphasize the majority of UAP's observations can be attributed to known phenomena or occurrences. However, the report also highlights challenging in studying UAPs, citing poor data collections and lack of uniform standards. These revelations surrounding the secret CIA team's retrieval missions, advanced detection technology, and contrasting perspectives within the government agencies contributing to the ongoing intrigue and mystery surrounding UFOs and UAPs. So that brings the end of today's video. What did you think? Is the government hiding anything, or I don't know, they probably are. Anyways, thank you so much for your time. Stay curious, and I'll see you around.